Welcome back to Integrated, a podcast for entrepreneurial couples who want to live the dream, be awesome parents and partners, and not suffer too hard.
Mm-hmm. And have enjoyable, meaningful work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Jayson.
And I'm Ellen.
And we've been married almost 18 years this year.
It will be 18 in September.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we've been at this a while.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been studying humans for quite a while.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. And we work in the trenches with people on their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And we study ourselves. We study our relationship. We fall down, we get back up, and we want to share with you what we keep learning from our couples and ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's our belief that if you can figure out the intimate partnership in a really good way, it's just so much more is possible in your life.
Oh, yeah. It frees you up in so many areas and provides a lot of fuel and energy for the challenges and opportunities in life, relationally and, career-wise and family-wise, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're sipping mate here on a cloudy morning.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one of our favorite morning beverages.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. How many cups of mate do you think you drink a day?
Oh, God.
Like 30?
30, no. No, but I have this little teapot here, and I usually fill it up twice.
Yeah, that's a good... Yeah, and I just keep re-steeping mine, and I add a little more each time. Just a little light. Just, yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't want to overdo it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quit coffee, regular coffee a long time ago because it's like the high and low is pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you this, but I was drinking a pot of coffee in my 20s a day. A pot, guys. And I wasn't even like an entrepreneurial. Ellen's recovering from the flu.
Yes.
So there might be some coughing, and hopefully our editor will edit out the coffee.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep drinking tea, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you were talking about your journey with caffeine.
I was saying I drank a pot of coffee in my 20s, dude, and I wasn't even an entrepreneur yet. Like, that's understandable when you're like burning the candle at both ends and you're working till midnight and waking up at 6. And
you were just doing it for fun.
I don't know. I was just addicted, and alcohol and coffee, that was like my thing. Stimulant, depressant, stimulant, depressant, stimulant, depressant.
I also think you weren't doing what you really wanted to do. Like, you probably needed a pot of coffee to like make it exciting.
I think you're right. To get through the day.
And then you needed some alcohol to like kind of quiet you down so you didn't think too much about your existence and your life and how maybe it wasn't aligned.
Correct. Yeah, I think you're onto me. Like, you know something about me there.
But you figured it out. You like kind of woke up to all that eventually. It just took a while, probably because of the coffee alcohol combo. Wasn't helping.
Guys, coffee and alcohol every day is not a good...
It's not a good idea.
If you're doing that, there's something wrong with this picture.
Probably something more to look at. Most people can't get away with that after 40 anyway. It's like midlife starts to approach and things start to shift and change, and it's good. It's actually good in the long run to kind of wake up to what really works for me.
What in the hell really works for me? So we're going to talk about today what the hell really works for you in your relationship life. And in a previous episode, we talked about the 3 types of entrepreneurial couples. There's the solo entrepreneur with a supportive spouse. There's the
dual entrepreneurs where you're each running your own business. And then there's co-preneurs where you're in business together running a shared business.
And we're going to spend a couple episodes on this, unpacking each one a little more. And today we're going to talk about the solo entrepreneur with supportive spouse. And we'll try to ground it with some practical examples.
Yep.
We'll have an invitation at the end. So let's talk about this couple. What's going on here? This is a couple who, what?
Where one partner is the founder, CEO, running a business of some kind. And the other partner is just supporting them in that endeavor. Maybe they don't work at all. Maybe they have some work. They have other work outside the home, but it's not a running their own business kind of work.
Yeah. And it's often whatever the supportive spouse is doing is often eclipsed by the loudness, magnitude, intensity, ego, whatever of the solo entrepreneur.
Yes. Yeah. And really their whole, it's really often what their life starts to revolve around is what the business needs.
When you say their life, you mean the couple's life.
The couple's life.
Yeah.
And if they have kids, the family's life, around the schedule of the business, the needs of the entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. What does the entrepreneur need to tend to their business? What kind of time, energy, resources, how much space it takes up mentally, all of that.
Why does that start to happen? So a couple's together, one partner starts a business. Maybe they've got together and the person already has a business going. Mm-hmm. But why does it start to just eclipse everything?
I mean, it's a great question, but I think, mm-hmm. if I was going to say, I'd think because of the importance that people in our society put on money. Mm-hmm. And, obviously we all need money to survive and live. And in that situation, there's a lot of money being run through this business, coming to the family through that business. And the person running that business feels like that's the most important thing, is their business.
Yeah.
And yeah, so maybe it's the work itself that's the most important thing. But what I see is that it's the money that's coming and going through the business has a lot of stress and charge attached to it. And that is sort of the why. That's the first explanation for why the business demands so much attention, time, resources, and space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just to clarify, when you said a lot of money, it could be that it's not much money. It could be that it's a small business owner who is mm-hmm. just squeaking by.
Yep.
But they're doing it for the family, and the other person's, say, not working because they're raising the kids or they are out of work for whatever reason. And it's survival also. It's like, I'm helping us pay rent or mm-hmm. just buy groceries.
Yeah.
So depending on obviously the level of income coming in, it's just, there's like a base level survival. And then at a certain point, if it's a lot of money and it's a highly successful operation, then it's just about life. It's about survival and look at all the cool stuff we have mm-hmm. and look at the status we have and look at either way, it's still kind of usurps the whole situation.
It really does. And, where my mind goes because of who I am and also because of the couples I work with is often this couple has kids. I work with a lot of families. We're a family. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot about the family situation in this, and the supportive spouse is often doing the majority of the childcare.
Yeah.
And household work and just kind of running the other aspects of their life, this family or couple's life. And it's just interesting to me that for some reason, it's so justified to put money and business ahead of family, children, relationships. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. It's putting, the earning or the struggle to earn ahead of relationships. Mm-hmm. That like the relationships can wait. We've got to figure out the money every day.
Yeah.
And
and I'm just going to support you. I'll be a supportive spouse, supporting the business owner, right?
Yeah, I think that's the expectation. And sometimes that is the agreement that like, hey, you're not working, so I get all this time, energy, and I need all this. The entrepreneur wants all this protection around their time to work. And so it's like, you got to handle the kids and everything else. But meanwhile, I think where these couples get into challenges is the work of the home and children is not valued to the same extent that the work of the business is. And, I mean, there's a lot that happens here for couples. I mean, I don't know how far we want to go into this today, but there's a lot that happens, where, you know, especially if there's children involved, that this sort of gets very exaggerated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's just bleed into gender roles for a minute and talk about if it's a traditional setup.
Yeah. Which it usually is.
Yeah. Where the man is the one running the business and the woman is the one raising the kids. There's another layer about gender also. So it's not just, hey, I'm the provider here and I'm in a male or female. I'm in a whatever. My work is more important than the family kind of thing. It seems to be there's another layer, which is, and I want to talk about the male side for a minute. Men tell themselves a story that they're the hunter, they're the provider, they're the guy that should go out and get the meat. It's highly reinforced in the culture that men do the providing. Even though with feminism and everything else, that's not true in so many ways, but that's what men tell themselves. Okay, I'm not saying it's right. It's just the narrative, right? And you and I both know, Ellen. You're smiling at me.
Yeah, I'm
ready to pounce here.
Totally, I'm like breathing.
Yeah, breathe through it. Men tell themselves that story. And then they feel entitled to do that. And then they hang out with all their male friends who are doing that. And then there's this status game of like, yeah, how much meat did you bring home? And it's just this whole thing about men and providing. Yeah.
And they're in their heads and they're running a business and they're doing what they think of as like their biological imperative.
Yeah.
To provide and earn money and do the hunting, which again, if you study evolutionary biology, which most people don't, but I do, this is not true. This is a myth that has been fabricated. And we'll do a whole episode on really what the actual fossil record and archaeology shows about gender roles, which is totally different than what that story.
What men tell themselves.
What men like to tell themselves today and what men have been telling themselves for hundreds of years and white Western society to justify all kinds of things that don't work for other people. But yeah, there is this idea that they're doing what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
And this really gets under my skin. And then the spouse, the woman in the situation, or mother, wife, is doing what she's quote unquote meant to do.
Yeah.
Which is to be supportive. And be supportive of him, take care of everything else for me. I mean, feminism is partly exists because of the incredible unfairness and lack of opportunity this provides for women and their children in this setup. So it is amazing to me that this is still perpetuated today. And I mean, I have peers and friends that are very, very into this idea. And, it feels eerily strange that we have forgotten so much about why there's been such pushback on those ideas and that way of living, because it really served very few people to do that.
And I want to share another layer that men tell themselves, another story.
Okay.
Which is, I'm a man. I'm not nurturing. I'm not relational. I don't know how to raise kids. I don't have a boob and I can't breastfeed. The baby didn't grow inside of me and I'm not the one kind of taking care of this little thing. You are. And like the weird stories men tell themselves about child rearing. And like, I can't tell you how many men over the last couple decades have said, well, I'm just not good at that. And I'll wait till the kids get older when I can have a relationship with them. And I'm just like, dude, you're missing out on the coolest part, which is the infant and like holding this little teeny thing and getting good at being with a baby and learning how to soothe a baby. I'm a living example of that's just not true, that men don't know how to do that.
Oh my God, it's just not true. I mean, look around. We all know many exceptions to that. And again, evolutionarily, men are very built to provide all the nurturing and care that women are. And we'll do a whole episode on this one too, because I love this stuff and I think it's fascinating. And that's just a big cop out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're not like good at nurturing or good at being with kids, like, but you have them.
Right.
You know, I'm not good at, looking at my finances. I don't enjoy it immensely, but I do it because I have a business and I have to relate to that.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know how to own a house. I've never done that before. Now I'm doing that. I've never, there's all kinds of things that I'm taking on in life that require me to learn and grow. And so it shocks me when someone who has parented children is saying, that's not my job.
Yeah. And I'm delegating it to you.
And I'm delegating to one person. And I'm just like, we'll just sit back and wait to see when that starts to blow back on you, because at some point it will.
Yeah. And this is where we're saying all this because couples don't know that things like gender roles are going on. There's a power sort of dynamic going on. There's a lot of myths that people have subordinated to going on. Male is provider, female raises kids. It's just a myth that people made up and a lot of people subordinated to. It doesn't mean it's the best way. It's one way.
Yeah.
And what starts to happen that in the couples we see, and we can talk about our own challenges with our marriage, is it starts to feel unfair. And it doesn't feel, slowly resentments start to build about who's doing more. And that's one place where couples can argue who's doing more. Well, look at me. I'm working all the time for us. And she's saying, well, look at me. I'm busting my ass with the kids and you don't even get it. And you don't know how freaking stressful this is and how lonely it is and all the different things that she's going through. And they just miss each other and they're arguing over who's like providing more value.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. And couples just kind of fall into this. They don't actually talk about like the division of labor and like, hey, what are our roles and what are we doing? How do we want to do this in an equitable way that works for both of us? What's our vision here?
Yeah, we're sharing this life. We share these kids. We share everything we're up to. How do we want to do that? And I think some people do try to arrange it. And it's, again, we talked about divide and conquer in an earlier episode where people, it's something simpler about that. Okay, you work, I'll take care of the kids, right? But it is not that common that really feels like a thumbs up, awesome setup for couples for a long time. If it's good for them, it's because that couple's really, really good at communication with really continuing to include each other in each other's lives, the different things they're holding, and they're really good at being very interested and available to their partner around whatever they're holding in terms of work, children, home. It's like, yeah, I'll help you whenever you want. Like they just have a lot of access to each other. Yeah. There's, there are ways to do this that feel like you're in it together, which most people want. They want a sense of integration. They don't want these like divided up roles based on gender, based on power / money, earning, no one wants to be in a family where the relationships and childcare is devalued as something you can just hire out. Like that isn't really how that works. Children need invested caregiving. You can't just get a babysitter and expect everything to be awesome.
Yeah, because then you get to blame your partner if something's not awesome. As a man, I get to blame the woman if she didn't, quote, do parenting right somehow.
Well, that's another layer I see, is that when there's the solopreneur, but let's keep him a man at this point. I want to come back to when it's reversed.
Yeah.
But that guy has a lot of, because these are his children and his home, he comes in kind of end of the day after his 10, 12-hour workday and has opinions and criticisms about how it's all going.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because it's like, yeah, these are your kids in your house. And of course you have opinions and ideas and ways you want things done. But that's not happening in reverse. His partner, the woman in this situation, isn't walking into his business and saying, why are you doing things like that? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I wish you'd do this. Mm-hmm. Like, she's not coming into his world, right, but he's coming into hers, because that's clearly their shared world. But they're not sharing it. And so it creates all this friction where she doesn't feel understood or supported. She feels criticized and judged, or like it's not being done the way he wants it to. She's resentful of his input, because where the hell has he been?
Yep.
What does he know? He's never spent more than 3 hours with the kids, let alone days at a time. What
parenting books and podcasts has he read or listened to?
Right. He's not doing any of that.
He doesn't take him to the doctor's appointments, and he's not showing up at the, he can't wait till the kid gets older and then I'll show up to the game and I'll be his coach.
Right. He's kind of, so it's like, of course, his input is not going to be warmly received, because it's often constructive or, oppositional even. And so, and then he's upset because he's like, wait, I have a say here. I'm entitled to this, but he hasn't been in a collaborative situation with her around it. And she doesn't get to go into his world that he's running and do that, because of course not, because it's not their shared world. So it's tricky.
The whole point of this podcast, like the whole entire podcast, not just this episode, is for us to help you integrate, right, your lives and in a way that's collaborative and mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
And the reason we're bringing all this up is because we continue to work with people who this is a major problem. Because they didn't agree to a collaborative model. They agreed to a construct and a context that they didn't totally lay out and say, this is how we're going to do it. They just fell into it because it's what everybody does, or it's what other people do, or it's what men do, or it's what women do. Instead of going, how do we want to do it? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really important question, is how do we want to do this life, this partnership, this family, given that I'm running a fast growing company and we just had 2 babies. How do we want to do this? I feel like I have no time. My company needs all my attention. I don't want to be the unavailable father that just comes in with complaints. How do we navigate this? This seems like an impossible task.
Right.
To do it in a good way, because we're so swamped over here.
Yeah. And you are threading a needle. Like, it is a difficult task to do. Like, in that scenario, as I hear that, I'm like, how do you do all that? It's fucking hard.
Yeah, it's fucking hard.
And you have to be very awake and very collaborative. It's the only way. That doesn't mean you do all the same things 50-50. That's not collaboration. Collaboration is this way of working together that includes yourself and the other person's experience, interests, strengths, vulnerabilities. And you're in a very open dialogue about that, coming up with a plan going forward that's continually evolving based on what's working and what's not working. What has us feel best as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. You're really looking for that. What gives us the quality of life, the quality of experience that we like best? Yes, we're going to have to do hard things. We're going to have to stretch ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be uncomfortable at times. But if it's in the service of what we want and we're in it together, that is a vastly different experience. Like, you could be in a solo entrepreneur, supportive spouse situation and have life feel very collaborative.
Yeah.
But again, I would say that's what I see couples struggle with the most, is collaboration is like, it's just like something they can't wrap their minds around. It's just like, it's they slide back down into divide and conquer, like you do that, I'll do that. And we'll just have to live with it because that's just the way it is. And we're just like, no, you would never settle for that in your business.
Yeah. You'd never settle for it on a sports team. If you're on a team, you would never be like, it's me against you. My way is better. I'm top dog and you're underdog.
I'll pass to you, you shoot. That's what we'll do from here on out. Like no one would want that.
Yeah, you're the most important person in this relationship and I'm inferior. So let's do it that way.
Or work is the most important thing in this relationship. Or, like something else. Or like, what is the most important thing?
Yeah. Well, even when work is the most important thing, it's still the person who's working is the most important person in that relationship. Because it's like work is an extension of me. In
that setup.
Yeah.
And we're saying that's not gonna last. That's not gonna go well for very long.
Yeah. I want to just mention another, back to the male role. And then I want to hear what you have to say about the female. Yeah, because it's different. When she's the entrepreneur. So when the male's the entrepreneur, I've heard this one over the years. And I finally did a giant podcast for new dads and expectant dads on this, at the Relationship Schools podcast, if you want to go listen to that. But men, one of the classic entrepreneur things is because they're all about delegation and their team and they're growing. So they're like, hey, honey, I see you really stressed out with the kids. Why don't you just hire a nanny? Let's just pay a bunch of money and let's just hire a nanny. And some wives might be like, okay, great, thanks. And other wives are like, what? No, I want you in here. Like when I've tried that with you over the years, like, honey, you're so stressed. Let's just get more childcare. You're like, no, because I want you doing the parenting. And that was a helpful kind of stance you took because that allowed me to be even more involved rather than, oh, cool, I just get to go work now. Because it's like my kids tug at my heart, right? And I listen most of the time, hopefully. You tell me. And when I do, it's like so rewarding. Like I'm never going to get these years back with my children ever. And so I'm like all in on being a dad. And my business will grow slower as a result. My business is going to limp along as a result because I want to be here for my kids' lives.
I think that was honestly your biggest challenge at times, like, because you didn't go into entrepreneurism until, I don't know, the kids were like 4 and 6, 6 and 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so before that, we had been both working for ourselves, our own private practices, and both working part-time. And so we really shared parenting and earning.
Yeah.
And then you went into entrepreneur work and you needed to work full-time at that. And we went through a lot negotiating what that was going to look like because that was going to change my life drastically.
Yeah, completely.
Because I had really, I loved our setup for those first 6, 8 years.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I loved you being such an engaged, involved parent. Like I could go to work and I felt, I could just walk out the door. There was no transition. I didn't have to leave you a list or tell you how to do shit. I mean, like you do sometimes with a babysitter or with a parent who's pretty checked out. So we were just very interchangeable, and that provided me enormous freedom at work, enormous peace of mind. I could really be present at work because you had the kids, and that was the most important thing to me was the kids' well-being. And then I could go work if they were really taken care of. So then when you went to work more as an entrepreneur, we recognized that was something you needed to explore and do. I wanted to support that. And I was terrified of you becoming less involved.
Yeah. Yep.
And so there were times where you were like, we could just get more, like you sort of saw it as like, no, I'll still be, I'll be here at this time and these times. And like, and I appreciate that you were willing to make your schedule work for you to still continue to be engaged with our kids and saw the value of that because when you would go through phases where you were busier, you did feel left out of stuff and you didn't like it. You didn't like it at all.
I still don't like when I go to my men's group and you guys are hanging out on the bed at night, I miss out and I'm bummed.
Yeah.
I still feel like, I got to, and you guys are like, yeah, we had an amazing night. And I'm like, shit. I had a good group, but like I missed out on whatever vibe was going on.
Right. And I'm so glad I'm not having to leave and go to something, right? Like I'm so glad I get to be home and do that. But yeah, like even one night every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I feel
a little sting.
You feel a little sting. Totally. Mm-hmm. And so, but that's because you were so, you knew you got it from the beginning because you were engaged and invested from the start of how special it is.
Yeah.
To be in good relationship and close with the kids. So you know what you're missing out on, which I think some people just don't even know what they're missing out on. They think I'm just a childcare provider. What's the difference? And that's sad to me.
That's so sad. Yeah. Cause I just see so many male entrepreneur dads, kind of, copping out here going, well, I'm a guy, I run a business. I'm not great at this. Or I just, so what we agreed to, I'm just going to bring home the bacon. And I'm just like, dude, so I feel I'm like I'm not a special person. I don't have special skills. I'm just a dude who got very invested in my kids and their development at every stage. Mm-hmm. And it's so like if I can do it, and I have a lot of issues. If someone like me can do it, then other men can. I know they can do it.
Yeah, it's
and
just
when
human.
They choose not to, I just feel some loss there.
It's just
for their
human.
Kids and their family. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just human. Yeah. It's in us, and I think for that person, if you're in that situation where you're struggling with, wow, we have these divided roles, there's resentment, the person who's working and providing so much feels like they're not appreciated for all that labor, at work. Yeah. They're not included enough in the home when they want to be. Mm-hmm. And then the person who is, again, often once these guys are parents, this is when it gets really hard, is that supportive spouse is taking care of kids and running a home and feels the lack of investment from the only other person who could be as invested as her in the children, which is the other parent. That is a special kind of invested care that you cannot pay for.
Yeah.
And parents, mothers know that. And so that creates a real, there's a real missing piece there. And then there's a lot of things that can happen in the family dynamic because of that. So we see that too over time. You work with couples and families for years and years and years. You see these patterns over time of what happens to the family dynamic in that situation too. Which it's not great. Mm-hmm. And so, I think the one thing I'll say before we talk about kind of what to do is when I have seen the female as the entrepreneur and the male as a supportive spouse, that what I've seen is that she is, yes, working a lot. And then she's also, if they have kids, she's also comes home and is right into kids, family, food. She's often still the one cooking. She's often still just doing a lot of the evening.
And holding the kids' schedule.
Everything, holding the schedule, still tracking, still tracking a ton.
Yeah.
And the man, the supportive spouse, his main complaint is that she doesn't pay enough attention to him. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really different dynamic.
Yeah.
You switch the gender roles and you get a really different dynamic.
And that seems like that, correct me if I'm wrong here, Ellen, it seems like that's because the woman has innately from the beginning been super invested in the children.
Yes.
Not because of her gender, but because she wanted to. And maybe she carried the baby and she gave birth and she did the thing.
Well, hold on.
But at a certain point, like, I'm just wondering, like, she still, like, if the gender roles were reversed and the man was as in the involved one and the woman was feeling left out as the supportive spouse.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of saying he wouldn't be as involved in and plugged into the kid's world.
He could be.
Yeah. but he might not be. And
but
we just don't see that
I've rarely
much.
seen that. I'm thinking of one couple where I've seen that the woman feels kind of left out of the family dynamic. Mm-hmm. One couple.
Yeah.
Where has such a good relationship with the kids, mm-hmm. and he works as well, but he's just more plugged into the kids than she is. Yeah. And she feels kind of like, I'm not that good at this. She says what the guy says in the other scenario, which is like, I'm just not that good at it. She feels way more guilt and shame about it. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think the men that you were describing earlier just don't feel any guilt or shame about that.
Yeah.
They let themselves, they're like, oh, that's not like what I'm biologically driven to do or something. Yeah. Whereas a woman would never mm-hmm. be okay with that story.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying that, the female supportive spouse is also not getting much as a partner, mm-hmm. but because she's so invested in the kids, she wants more for her kids.
Yeah.
She needs more for herself as a partner with this guy. She needs more in the relationship too, but that's not as front of mind for her, mm-hmm. what she's not getting.
Yeah.
Whereas the male supportive spouse is very tuned into what he's not getting. Mm-hmm. And so that's another stress on the female entrepreneurs. Like, oh, right, I'm not providing for you. And I'm, mm-hmm. I've got the work and the kids. And then like you also needs more from me. He feels needy. He feels like he doesn't get what she's holding and dealing with. So, mm-hmm. In all these scenarios, there's these feelings of you don't understand. Yeah. You don't know what I'm holding. You don't care. You don't want to collaborate with me. Mm-hmm. You don't think that what I'm up to is as valuable as what you're up to.
Yep.
It's a lot of power and gender stuff. And there's a lot of narratives that go on in our society to kind of justify some of these roles. But it's not often that this lack of equity, this huge values gap really feels okay for couples.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, what happens when you're not attentive to this is you just start to drift and you go into divide and conquer. Resentments build. Unfairness is a common complaint. Mm-hmm. And often both people don't feel like a priority in a certain way. And even though like the woman in the gender, back to the gender roles where the man is the entrepreneur, he might feel like, hey, we're not having sex. That might be one of his complaints. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, but you're not prioritizing my heart and my emotional life. And, mm-hmm. and he's not like making time for that. And then he tells himself a story. He's not good at that once again. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So he doesn't have to learn. So, right. It's just this kind of drifty, painful, and couples can spend years not dealing with this dynamic. And again, all that needs to happen is a massive reorientation of let's do standing for three. In the second episode, we talked about that, where we're practicing. Everything we do has got to be good for you, me, and us. Mm-hmm. It can't just be good for me and bad for you. Mm-hmm. And that's how we become a good team. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that's what we're trying to learn how to do here. And we're saying if you can become a better team, you're going to have a better experience and have more fun at home and with your partner. And the vibes are going to feel way better because you're moving the relationship to center stage and you're beginning to prioritize that even inside of these dynamics.
Inside of those dynamics.
Whatever the setup is.
Yes.
Especially in this solo entrepreneur with supportive spouse, we're saying you can set it up so both people feel like a priority, mm-hmm. even though it's not about time, as I think you said in the attachment podcast. Mm-hmm. It's not about time spent. It's about a feeling of like, you care about me and my inner life and my world mm-hmm. inside and what I'm going through each day. And I care about yours. Yeah.
And you're not just asking things like, well, what do you need? Or, here, let me give you a couple hours here and a couple hours there. It's not, mm-hmm. that's not going to cut it. It's really, there needs to be a much deeper reflection on, what are we willing to do to have what we want? Yeah. To have my partner feel the way they want to feel, mm-hmm. For me to have the experience I want to have, and recognizing we're going to have to collaborate and do things that are maybe difficult to get there. Yeah. And if I can see the things I need to do in the service of my growth and development, personally, I can really get on board with that. I'm like, no, that would be good for me. That would grow me in this way. Like I want to sign up for more of that, or let you help me there, 'cause that's good for my growth too. Or, just that we can do hard things. We can do if they're in the service of what our values are.
Yeah.
But couples need to get into that material.
They do.
Not just into how do we kind of, what's the workaround here? What's the, maybe she needs a girls trip. Like, no, it's like we need a real shared understanding of what it's like to be us here.
Yeah.
What we're scared about, what we want, what feels vulnerable, what we feel ashamed of, what we feel proud of, like just like really looking at what's holding all of this.
Yeah.
The views, the stories, it's a deep dive.
It's a deep dive.
What we're talking about.
Yeah. It's a really mindset shift from seeing your partner's complaints as complaints and instead seeing them as helping you grow. Like, there's some wisdom coming in the form of a complaint. And obviously I want my partner to deliver the complaint in a way I can hear it. But it's like, maybe they're asking me to become a bigger person. Maybe they're asking me to increase my capacity for intimacy.
Right.
Or discomfort in conflict so that we can become stronger. Like so many couples want to push away the complaints and the discomfort instead of being like, well, they're here for a reason. You're not being a great teammate.
Right.
So any complaint, grievance, resentment, it's all pushing you to evolve and develop yourself so you can be a more awesome teammate because you're maybe sucking at it right now. And I think that's only going to help your business. Like it's going to help you make more money. It's going to help you be a better leader. It's going to help you deal with people more effectively because the hardest relationship is at home. If you can get good at this hard relationship, your spouse, I just think that exponentially the return, the ROI on that is enormous.
And why do you say it's the hardest relationship?
Because it's back to our attachment podcast conversation. It confronts all of our unworked trauma and development from our history. Because if it's an attachment relationship, and it's inherently the dependency that we talked about in those episodes it just brings up so much stuff for people. And we're activated more than almost any other place in our life. And it's not because we picked the wrong person. Most of the time, it's because we aren't willing to learn how to be a teammate and how do I do an adult partnership? How do I do that well?
Mutuality is really a new idea for a lot of people.
Yeah. And to your point in the attachment, we grew up in families that maybe felt unfair to us. We grew up in insecure family dynamics, and we're bringing all that history with us into the marriage or the long-term partnership and sometimes the business, and it just bleeds out. It sucks.
Yeah, it's just the culture we know. It's like that's where I came from. I can't even see it because it's so who I am. Yeah. It's so steeped in me that this is the way things should go in a home, or, if I need something, this is how I get it, versus, really looking at the way you go about that and how that lands for your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the relationships at home are, hard in that way that you're describing. And then also like the most important and meaningful and provide the most sense of like a life well lived.
Yeah.
As we know from the research. And so there is this like duality to it where, yes, it can be difficult and confronting and at home, but it's also like where the most meaning and contentment and peace lies.
Yeah.
And so that is, again, another reason to aspire towards more collaboration and more mutuality, because that's where there's flow. Like that frees up the energy and the capacity to enjoy all of this at home because you're in it together.
Yeah.
You're like, this is your shared life.
Yeah.
And,
you got to see this as just, again, pushing you to be a better partner, parent, leader, person.
Right.
it's all
on
in
the way.
service.
It's all on the way and in service to that.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. So you can get on board with that, and I think you're going to suffer less, or you can resist that and try to change your partner, push it away, tamp it down, get away from discomfort. And I just think you're going to be in a world of hurt long term if you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. So the invitation here is to, again, just do the work. Get engaged.
Get engaged.
Yeah. Stand for 3. Practice doing things that are good for you and me and us.
I think the supportive spouse also could think about, am I taking enough of an interest in my entrepreneurial partner's world and what they're holding? And I mean that not in terms of like the nuts and bolts of the business, which maybe you're interested in that, but really in what it's like for them to be in that role, about what it is they're navigating inside themselves as a human being as they meet the demands of their work life. I'm thinking of a couple I worked with where the supportive spouse she just never asked about those deeper things. And the entrepreneur partner was like, why would I talk to her about work? It's such a pain in the ass. Like, I always have a new headache. There's always a big fucking problem. I'm trying to just put that stress aside. And I'm just trying to show up and like help make dinner and help do the kids. But, she could always feel his stress and his preoccupation.
Yeah.
And she was sort of trying to like not talk about it. And so there's like elephant in the room that they were always avoiding. And it felt stressful to both of them. And he felt like he had to kind of compartmentalize all his work stuff, and he kind of couldn't. And she felt like he wasn't really present or available, and that was stressing her out. And so I just encouraged them for her to take a real interest, basically listen to him until he felt understood. He didn't even know how to utilize her at this point. But really what was so beautiful was she knew exactly what he was up against in himself and the challenges he was facing at work. She knew him so well and why he got into entrepreneurism in the first place and what his vision was and what his strengths are. And she had this incredible way of really seeing him and validating him and empathizing with him. And his stress just went from like a 10 to a 1. Just in nothing. They solved no work problems. Nothing changed about any of that, but he felt like she understood him and knew what he was going through and cared and was there, and like he could really lean on her. And he was like, I have never felt this before. Wow. And so there is so much power in, and she was like, this is great. I love connecting with you. Like this feels like connection, you know?
Of course.
And it wasn't about the work problems. It was about his human journey.
Yeah.
And the entrepreneur can do that for the parent, the supportive spouse, take an interest in their human journey.
And not about the day.
And not about the day and
we
the
did
details
this, and then
and
we
the
did
logistics.
That, and then milk got spilled here, and we had to change 10 diapers.
People think that's what's there to talk about.
We're not catching up. Yeah, you're talking about something much deeper, which is like, what is she going through? What is she wrestling with inside? Yeah. What's beautiful to her and what's painful?
Yeah.
As she lets go of her career, let's say, or she's in a supportive role. How is that? Does that feel burdensome? Does that feel good and heart opening? Yeah. What is that like?
It probably feels like all of it, right? And same for him. He's the entrepreneur. He's like, I'm up for this journey. I want to be doing this, and it's so fucking difficult at times, and I just don't know if I can, and I get scared, and
have self-doubt.
Has all the human stuff, and that is where this couple, if they stay tethered to each other in that way, they're going to do a lot better. They're going to feel a lot more like we're in this together. Even though, we kiss each other and say, okay, see you at the end of the day, they feel more tethered to a shared experience just because they feel known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I guess that could be one of the invitations here is to do that with your spouse, whatever role you find yourself in. Okay. Well, again, if this was helpful, please share it with a friend, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can always watch the video on Spotify. And just grateful for you listening and sharing it with the people in your life.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.